In an executive order on February 6, Trump denounced the International Criminal Court. He positioned it to deflect charges of genocide against Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. But could he actually be seeking to protect himself? I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the International Criminal Court, the ICC, as established by the Rome Statute, has engaged in illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and our close ally Israel. The ICC has, without a legitimate basis, asserted jurisdiction over and opened preliminary investigations concerning personnel of the United States and certain of its allies, including Israel, and has further abused its power by issuing baseless arrest warrants targeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant. The ICC has no jurisdiction over the United States or Israel, as neither country is party to the Rome Statute or a member of the ICC. Neither country has ever recognized the ICC's jurisdiction, and both nations are thriving democracies with militaries that strictly adhere to the laws of war, Trump wrote in the executive order. Well, he didn't write it, obviously. Trump's order reinforcing sanctions against officials of the ICC underscores a blatant attempt to shield American and allied figures, especially those from Israel, from legal scrutiny. This approach reflects a distorted notion of justice, one where accountability applies only to others. His narrow perspective on the ICC's authority was dismissed in the court's founding treaty and later rejected by both the Biden administration and even members of his own Republican Party. Yet Trump remains undeterred, you might say. The US has traditionally accepted two of the three legal avenues by which the ICC can assert jurisdiction as they remained within its influence. Washington has no issue with the court prosecuting individuals from countries that are ICC members. Since the US has no plans to join, it also tolerates cases referred by the United Nations Security Council, knowing it can veto any charges that it finds objectionable. However, the Rome Statute, the treaty establishing the ICC, provides a third mechanism. The court can investigate crimes committed within the borders of a member state, even if the accused is from a non-member country. This was the key issue when, during Trump's presidency, the ICC began examining potential crimes in Afghanistan, which could have implicated CIA personnel linked to the Bush administration's torture program. In response, Trump then sanctioned the chief prosecutor and one of her deputies, freezing assets and restricting travel. His latest executive order references that previous investigation, yet it's now largely irrelevant since the current ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, has deprioritized those particular cases. The real focus, though, is Israel. That same legal principle of territorial jurisdiction enabled the ICC to charge Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the former defense minister over the blockade strategy affecting Palestinian civilians in Gaza. While Israel never became an ICC member, Palestine did, granting the court the authority to investigate war crimes committed on Palestinian land, regardless of the nationality of the accused. Trump's order dismisses ICC jurisdiction over both the US, protecting himself, and Israel, his buddy Bibi, claiming neither country has ever recognized its authority and that both have strong democratic institutions with militaries committed to lawful conduct. However, these assertions are legally meaningless, as are much of Trump's executive orders. When the Rome Statute was drafted, the US vigorously opposed territorial jurisdiction, but its objections were overwhelmingly rejected by a 120-7 vote. The only nations siding with Washington were China, Iraq, Israel, Libya, Qatar, and Yemen. Furthermore, the ICC does not make exemptions based on a country's democratic status or self-proclaimed adherence to the laws of war. Its jurisdiction applies universally, unless a nation conducts legitimate investigations of its own under what's known as the principle of complementarity. Yet Israel has a history of avoiding internal prosecutions for war crimes. Even with the ICC's charges against Netanyahu and Gallant, no independent investigation has been launched. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We often hear about the red flags that we should avoid, but what if we focus more on looking for green flags in friends and partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify green flags, actively practice them in your relationships, and embody the green flag energy yourself. Whether you're dating, married, building a friendship, or just working on yourself, it's time to form relationships that love you back. I've benefited from talking therapy myself over many, many years. It gave me the opportunity to learn a lot more about who I really am. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties, and easily switch therapists at any time at no extra cost. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/5minute today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/5minute. Elevating my style used to mean breaking the bank. But with Quince, I get high-end, versatile pieces at prices I can actually afford. Now I can upgrade my style by snagging killer luxury essentials that sync with my vibe and wallet. Quince has all the must-haves like Mongolian cashmere crewneck sweaters, iconic 100% leather jackets, and versatile flow-knit activewear. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. I love that. And these t-shirts that I wear feel great and fit me like a glove. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/FMN for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/FMN to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/FMN. For years, the US opposed the ICC's ability to prosecute crimes based on territorial jurisdiction. But that stance crumbled when the court indicted Vladimir Putin for forcibly transferring Ukrainian children to Russia. Since Russia is not an ICC member, the court's authority came solely from Ukraine's decision to confer jurisdiction. This marked a turning point. Biden openly supported the charges, calling them justified. Even Senate Republicans, including Lindsey Graham, backed a resolution endorsing ICC action in Ukraine, with Graham declaring that Putin's war crimes had restored the ICC's credibility in the eyes of both his party and the American public. Some Republican lawmakers even traveled to meet ICC prosecutors, urging them to pursue the Russian leader. However, this newfound support for international justice quickly evaporated when Israel became the subject of scrutiny. With ICC charges against Israeli officials, Trump has revived objections to territorial jurisdiction, exposing the selective application of his legal principles. Asserting jurisdiction over crimes committed on foreign soil is neither radical nor unprecedented. If an American were to commit murder in the UK, for example, no one would question Britain's right to prosecute. If a nation unable to conduct its own legal proceedings chose to delegate that responsibility to the ICC, the logic remains the same. Trump's actions could have legal consequences too. Under Article 70 of the Rome Statute, obstructing or intimidating an ICC official itself is a crime. If the ICC determines that Trump's efforts amount to interference with an active prosecution, he could face formal charges. And while Trump might dismiss such threats, assuming no nation would dare detain him, the reality is more complicated. With 125 countries obligated to enforce ICC arrest warrants, he could find himself unwelcome in much of the world. He should ask Vladimir Putin, who had to forego attending the 2023 BRICS summit in South Africa due to the risk of arrest, what it feels like to be treated as an international fugitive. Israel has alternatives. It could conduct a credible, independent investigation into the Gaza blockade and hold officials accountable as needed. If Netanyahu and Gallant believe they have a defense, they could argue their case before the ICC, as a former Kenyan president once did. But attempting to suppress the court's authority is not a legitimate solution. And whilst Trump making his executive order and press release all about Israel, that might be a good cover story. But Trump must know that his planned actions, including attacking Panama or Greenland or owning Gaza for redevelopment, will put him under the ICC spotlight. And with this order, is he trying to get ahead of any accusations that might suggest that he, on behalf of the United States, is in violation of international law? I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.